Good morning, Israel. Good morning, Sweden. Welcome to the Connector. My name is Hampus. I'm country manager Israel at Business Sweden. And I will be moderating this conference part of the Connector today. And I'd like to introduce my co-moderator, Yoav from Startup Nation Central.
Glad to be here with you and for Startup Nation Central to be co-hosting this event. We have an outstanding agenda planned for today and tomorrow. So I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you. None of this would have been possible without you and your team. So thank you very much. I look forward to presenting a few more of the pitches in the coming time. So for now, back to you.
Thank you, Yoav, and thanks for an excellent collaboration also from our side to you. It's been a real pleasure. And of course, a big thanks to our co-organizers at Vinnova, the Swedish Innovation Agency, and the Swedish Embassy in Israel. It's of course too bad that we, again, for the second year in a row, cannot be on site in Tel Aviv. And that would have been very nice. But hopefully 2022 will be the year when we can gather again physically. I'm very happy to see such a great lineup of speakers and participants. I think we have around 110, 115 participants. And we have a lot of meetings that have been booked and confirmed that will take place today and tomorrow. And it's roughly 50-50% from Sweden and Israel that are participating. I will go over shortly the agenda and some practicalities. So today we will listen to company presentations from global companies, startup pitches, and presentations from academia. The conference program ends at 11:30 Swedish time, 12:30 Israel time. And one-on-one meetings can be taken then from 1 to 5 p.m. Swedish time today, so 2 to 6 in Israel, and tomorrow from 9 to 3 Swedish time, so 10 to 4 Israel time. You can also book and confirm meetings today and tomorrow. So do that. If you listen to anyone that you think is interesting now in the presentations, you can reach out and ask for a meeting. We have, or you have to be logged on to the system, to your profile, to be able to see your meeting schedule and to take the meeting. So the meetings take place in the B2Match platform. And you can, if you have meetings, so the meeting slots are set for 20 minutes, but you can, of course, if you have a good discussion, you can continue the meetings for longer unless you have a meeting directly afterwards. And before I introduce our first welcome speakers, I'd like to mention that Vinnova has an open call at the moment aimed at following up the discussions from today and tomorrow, because we want to see concrete things happen. And the call is for Swedish companies, but it's beneficial for both sides. So if you, as a Swedish participant, find a potential partner that you would
Yes, we can hear you.
Investigate the potential for an innovation partnership, you can apply for up to 100,000 SEK, meaning like 10,000 euros, to travel to Israel, meet your potential partner, and conduct a pre-study of the opportunity. And this call ends on November 25th, so in a few days. And you will get the decision by December 2nd. The call is available on Vinnova's website, but you can also contact Joanna Bokvist, head of Vinnova in Tel Aviv, directly if you have any questions. So let's start the program. And I'd like to welcome our first welcome from our ambassador to Israel, Mr. Eric Ullenhag. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Hampus. Really happy to be here. Today we have, I'm speaking to you from Tel Aviv. I would have loved to see you in real life, but meeting you through Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, and other ways have been the ways of meeting each other during the COVID pandemic. Think 20, 25 years back. If we would have had the pandemic back then, we wouldn't have had these opportunities to meet through innovation. As you might know, one of this innovative way of communicating, Skype, is actually Swedish from the beginning. And what combines Sweden and Israel is that both of our countries are innovative. We are countries with a lot of patents coming up, new unicorns, and we have a lot of smart people that actually are able to think outside the box. Being an ambassador to Israel, I'm super proud of being part of the Connector. The Connector, as the name is, you could read out from the name, is actually connecting people in Israel and in Sweden, connecting companies, making it possible for people to do business between our countries, and also to find the solutions of today's and tomorrow's challenges together. I don't know about you, but myself, I spent a lot of time thinking about what happened in Glasgow, where countries came together to try to fight the climate change. Should we meet the climate change, we sincerely need innovation. And I know that some of the companies here today and some of you are focusing on how could we tackle climate change together. Last couple of weeks, we have seen more visits in real life from Sweden to Israel. We had Karolinska, one of the biggest universities in Sweden, here a couple of weeks back. Last week we had Volvo, we had Volvo Group. We also had actually SEVT that I know are participating today. It was amazing to listen to the companies coming here, how impressed they were by the startup scene in Israel. And I know that they went back with new corporations. Karolinska, the hospital and university hospital in Sweden that is actually handing out Nobel Prizes, started a cooperation after being here with one hospital in Haifa that have been receiving Nobel Prizes. So we see more and more cooperation in, be it health tech, fine tech, smart mobility. We see more cooperation between our countries, and being able to take part in facilitating this cooperation, I'm super happy for it. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Business Sweden, Vinnova, Startup Nation Central that makes it possible for you to meet each other today. I will promise you that if you need any help and knowledge about Sweden, don't hesitate to reach out to the Swedish Embassy. I know that when smart people from our two countries come together, you actually come up with new ideas, and I hope that's going to be the case of today. We have big companies, smaller companies. We have with us today Electrolux and ICA. We're from Sweden, two really big companies that we are proud of. We have NVIDIA and Fox Lab from the Israeli side, and many others. Thank you for what you are trying to do to cooperate between our countries. But more importantly, thank you for trying to come up with innovation that could actually come up with solutions to some of the greatest challenges we have for humanity today. I wish you all the luck. I hope the meetings are going to be productive, and I hope that next time we see you in real life. Over to you again, Hampus. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Eric. So our second welcome greeting comes from Emma Vardeman, Director of Strategic Partnerships at Startup Nation Central. Welcome, Emma.
Campus. It was great pleasure that we are continuing our valuable collaboration as we co-host this event along with our partners at Business Sweden, Vinnova, and the Embassy of Sweden in Israel. I want to welcome you all virtually to Tel Aviv to Startup Nation Central headquarters. Startup Nation Central is an independent non-profit organization that builds bridges to Israeli innovation. We do it in 3 simple ways. We map, we connect, and we enrich. We have created the Startup Nation Finder, an online business innovation platform that is mapping the entire Israeli tech ecosystem, all the startups, the investors, the innovation hubs, communities, and more. From the data, we generate insight, landscape, and also resources. We connect global corporates to the Israeli innovation ecosystem by creating customized, tailor-made delegation based on their needs and challenges. And we enrich the local ecosystem and the local communities as we bring them together to community events and global events such as this one. The synergies between our 2 ecosystems comes naturally from its similarity. Israel and Sweden both rank high when it comes to innovation and global indexes and are close in the percentage of global expenditure out of the GDP. As well, both are mature ecosystems with strong sectors that are complementary one to another. Israel has strong Industry 4.0 technologies for the manufacturing industry and smart mobility technologies for the automotive, cybersecurity, and digital health solutions. We have also, last but not least, both countries with the highest number of unicorns. So I hope it will be a really great session and very productive for you. I wish that we could meet all here physically next year in Tel Aviv. And thank you for joining us. Back to you, Hampus.
Emma. So now our first presentation from industry comes from SEFT. It's Leif Axelsson, Innovation Strategy Director, and Lior Sino, Head of Israel Innovation Hub. And they're going to talk about bridging the gap during a global pandemic, so sharing some experiences of new ways of collaborating in this situation that we have had and are in the pandemic. So welcome, Leif and Lior.
Hello, and thank you very much for inviting us to present at the Connector event. My name is Leif Axelsson, and I'm working at the Innovation Department at SEFT, where I coordinate our strategic partnerships.
Can't hear
I have been leading
anything.
the development of our currently running innovation hubs. It was more than 3 years ago when we had our first delegation to Israel, and we immediately realized that we need to be part of this vibrant startup ecosystem. Already 1.5 years later, our head of the Israel Innovation Hub, Lior Sino, started. And after additional half a year, our first test car, the Lynk & Co, was in place, which is now replaced with a new one. We are currently running 10 POCs. We have 2 in production, and we have an MOU with the Technion University. And there will be much more to come. And with that, I would like to hand over to Lior Sino and a video that was recorded last week during our delegation to the Smart Mobility Summit in Israel. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much, Leif. And now I think we will listen to Lior from SEVT.
SEVT Israel Innovation Hub has formally started in January 2020, and not long after, the whole world has shut down. But now, after 2 years of this working from distance and a lot of video talks and a lot of this duplicating and working on multiple cars, we have the opportunity to finally meet face to face. And I'm very happy to host here now a first delegation after 2 years coming from Sweden, after all this time working shoulder to shoulder with the startups. So I'm happy to take you with a small tour and a glimpse to our activity here and to see all of SEVT innovation in Israel. Enjoy.
We have innovation hubs all around Europe. Right now we're in Tel Aviv, Israel. We had a great week. We met a lot of startups here, and the business environment is very forward-leaning and a lot of interesting technology that is fitting into the mobility solutions we are looking at. In Israel, we have seen a lot of companies working with data and artificial intelligence and making smart new user values out of existing data that we have had in our cars for many years. It's such a wide mix, so that's what makes it so exciting, and you can meet so many companies. In one day you can meet many different companies, and you get a very good quick contact with really innovative people, I must say.
Tactile mobility is enabling vehicles to feel the dynamics between the vehicle and the road, including grip conditions, surface conditions, and many other things. We do it by a software-only solution, enjoying existing sensors in the vehicle, and we had the pleasure to meet SEVT people this week in Israel, and to discuss a potential partnership and collaboration, embedding our technology in SEVT platforms, and we're looking forward to continue these discussions and bringing our technology to their vehicles.
Thank you very much for that presentation. So now it's a pleasure to introduce Michele Topano, Sensors and AI Manager from the Swedish global appliance company Electrolux. Welcome, Michele.
Thank you for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. So here I would like to present today who we are and what we are looking for the new challenges for our innovations. So Electrolux has more than 100 years experience in the innovation, and with the focus we have is to live our life easier, more enjoyable, and with a real focus on sustainability. We are offering outstanding consumer experience in different areas in home appliances. We are covering taste, care, and well-being, products for well-being. We have different brands around the world. So we have Electrolux, our brand. Then we have AEG and Frigidaire as a top brands for our products. But let's go directly to what we would like to focus today, considering our targets. Electrolux has three main strategic drivers. We are acting to be more and more sustainable. We would like to create better experience with our products, and we are continuously working for an improvement. But let's see what we are looking for, or where we would like to invest regarding our products. The future requires a better synergy between physical appliances and digital applications. This because we would like really to focus on a smarter consumer experience. We have physical appliances. Today, we are having more and more connected appliances with a connected experience, and putting together those two enablers, we would like really to develop and deliver smarter consumer experience to our products and to our customers. But let's see what a smarter product is. So a smarter product, following our internal definition, is to give the product the ability to adapt to the user, rather than to expect the user to adapt to the product. And for instance, if we have a machine, a washing machine, where, for instance, it's been 45 minutes, the cloth starts smelling because the washing cycle is finished, we would like to send a reminder to the user through push notifications, through connectivity. But a real smart appliance does something more. So instead to advise the user, will act in order to improve the process. And in this case, a potential solution could be, let's start autonomously a refreshing cycle in order to avoid the problem of smell. But here, what we can see is that to enable this smartness concept, we need to have three main enablers. The first one is the sensor. So we needed to add more components, to have more information from our products in order to have a self-awareness for the product. Then with more sensor, we can have even more data. And with having more data, we can find more patterns and drawing our insights. And last but not least is the brain. So we needed to put together this different information and adjust the appliance behavior based on the insights we can have from the data coming from the sensors. But let's see how we can put together all different features in order to have this smarter ecosystem. So we have appliance, we have intelligent cloud, and we have app and smart devices to be the interfaces with the user. Regarding the appliances, we would like to integrate more machine learning algorithms in our embedded systems, look into new AI libraries, embedded systems, and new components. We would like also to leverage on intelligent cloud to enable other use cases, so to support new type of business model for end-to-end solution, identify the right connectivity data, and enable even more machine learning and AI use cases, focusing on user behavior, sensor data analytics, and also predictive maintenance use cases in order to keep the ownership, to improve the ownership experience. And last but not least, we have also the app and services. With the app, through this different way to interact with the machines, we would like to augment the capabilities of the appliances using computer vision, using augmented reality, using voice interaction. All those things are part of the environment, a new ecosystem in order to improve product capabilities. But let's go to our challenges. So our challenges for today's are mainly related to enable these two parts: data with all information related to processing and also intelligence of the machine. We would like to focus on machine learning, deep learning model optimization for embedded devices. We have even more complex and even more capabilities with our products. We have high-end user interfaces, and we would like to identify techniques and approaches and tools to create and deploy optimized model to be executed in a low-end microprocessors. And in this case, we make our appliances more intelligent. Another area we would like to focus is said to have these smarter applications. We would like to combine sensors and data and also advanced algorithms to be able to have appliances more intelligent. And these are for us the two main steps in order to be able to enable the smartness concept. But starting from that, let's see what could be the potential collaboration within this program. We have two mainly collaboration models. One is what we call open innovation, is in the area of open innovation. We created an environment called Innovation Factory, where we are working really close to startups and innovators in order to bring more experience all together in the same table and co-develop new solutions for our innovations. And the other collaboration model is the Booster program, is an acceleration program where we are looking for new partners, where we would like to work together, where we would like to develop MVPs. And doing so, we have the possibility to work one close to the other. We put on the same table experience and competence and assets and resources from both sides in order to work in a co-working space and prototype solutions. This is, in a nutshell, what who Electrolux is, what we are looking for, and what we are doing, trying to put together different enablers from sensors, data, and algorithms in the frame of intelligence applications to enable the smartness concept. Thanks for your attention, and this is what we are looking for in Electrolux.
Presentation. Seems you have a lot of opportunities to collaborate there. So now I'd like to introduce Rafi Brada, AI Technology Manager at GE Global Research in Israel, GE's innovation engine working across GE's industrial portfolio. Welcome, Rafi.
Hi. Yeah. Okay, do you see the right screen now? Okay, so good morning. I'm Rafi Brada. I manage the GE AI Research Lab in Israel. It's a pleasure to take part in the Connector event and to present our research interests and collaboration opportunities. Usually when people hear GE, they look at us as a multinational, and they look at the business units, and they look to collaborate on projects or sell us capabilities. But just to put things in context, we are a research organization, and what we are interested in is collaboration on research. Okay, so to introduce GE Research. GE Research is the corporate advanced R&D unit serving all GE business units. It's a multidisciplinary organization working on the strategic needs of the GE businesses. So for power, it's the energy transition to renewables. For aviation, again, it's the future of flight, hybrid electric, and for healthcare, it's the whole field of precision health. Today, the funding model for GE Research is a mix of funding that comes from the business with government funding, and some, to a lesser degree, some external projects that come from outside companies. But the main mode is, I would say, a mix of business-funded and government-funded programs. Within GE Research, we belong to the AI research. The AI research is a very experienced and established organization with over 50 PhDs. It has sites in the US, India, and Israel, and it covers a broad spectrum of technologies that include the computer vision technologies, natural language processing, knowledge representation, time series analysis, and more basic science of AI. The organization in Israel is part is an Israeli legal entity, and as such, it's eligible to participate in European-funded programs. Here I want to outline some of the uses of AI on the projects we do, and to give you ideas on possible collaborations. So in general, we have a very wide interest, given that GE is in power, is in aviation, is in healthcare. So in general, we have a very wide interest in different applications of AI, and we're very open to collaborating on research projects. So some typical examples come from design and manufacturing, customer operations, and service productivity and automation. If we look at design and manufacturing, so typical examples are surrogate modeling for faster design of experiments, analysis of experiments, simulation, process modeling, etc. In customer operations, again, it's a wide range of applications from early warning, maintenance, prediction, maintenance, record mining, performance optimization, inspection services, healthcare image analytics, clinical decision support. Again, a wide range of use of AI in improving and automating customer workflows. And the last field is for service productivity. A big part of GE's business is around servicing its equipment. And again, here comes forecasting, fleet segmentation, dynamic optimization, shop automation. These are the typical areas we work on. Here, I just want to present a few examples of use of different technologies. So if we look at the use of deep learning and computer vision, so here we have inspection, quantifying the damage to the heat-resistant coating on the turbine blades of jet engines, provides shop floor automation, quantitative measurements, and closing the loop with Rifing models. Another example is process control during the manufacturing of composite materials using cross-section microscopy. Again, automated, highly accurate and repeatable measurements that are the basis for statistical process control. Another use of computer vision is the field of video analytics, which includes technologies for identifying parts, entities, and their interaction. It is used both for training in military, working in a civilian environment, or doctors interacting with the family, for robot-human interactions, and for checking compliance with protocols in hospitals. So all these are algorithms for understanding the environment, understanding human and robots and their interactions. Medical imaging and in more general precision health is a big topic, one of the biggest parts of GE Healthcare. And there we work from image quality to workflow productivity and clinical decision support. Precision cancer along the care pathway is a big theme for GE that is looking at it beyond imaging for data integration and clinical decision support. Here we just present an example from the image quality domain, where we combine the system understanding and physics of the MRI with deep learning techniques to detect and correct for patient motion during an MR scan, and to save the scan and make it clinically usable. Another field is related to maintenance and repair and overhaul of jet engine. There is a large install base of fleets of aircrafts with engines that need to be periodically taken off wing and repaired and then reassembled. And it's very important to plan the timing and the capacity. So And the turnaround time is known and is manageable by the service contracts and the fleets. So here again, there is a range of AI tools from a cumulative damage model that let you simulate different use patterns and scheduling of your fleet and predict the outcoming maintenance plan, to taking a selected maintenance plan and providing a forecast of materials and capacity that will be needed in the factory, to following up on daily decisions on the factory floor to maintain the turnaround time of each engine, and going down to the resolution of hourly decisions on placing parts on machines, again, in order to meet the turnaround times. And in addition, all this provides a closed loop feedback to these lifing models that can improve over time. If we look at the science of AI, so like many others who are involved in healthcare or industrial application, explainability, trust in the AI, and pushing the limits of recognition are important research topics that we are actively pursuing. Here is a list of AI upcoming EU calls that are around AI that we have an interest in. Again, we have a broad interest and we are very open to collaborating on European consortium. So here a few examples are multi-party computation for healthcare, anonymized data, tools to predict risk of chronic non-communicable disease, AI for human empowerment, robotics, digital solutions for hydropower, digital aviation technologies, and also in Marie Curie actions on fellowships for postdocs or doctoral networks. So all these are examples of things we would be interested to collaborate on. To sum it up, GE AI Research in Israel is part of an Israeli legal entity, making it eligible for EU fund. Research focus, technology part-wise is computer vision, precision health, and operation optimization. And we are currently actively participating in multiple EU and US funded programs. And the main thing we want to do is research collaboration with universities, research institutes, and industry, where we want to act as consortium partner. And we also have a model of executing advanced research projects for external customers. That's it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Rafi. Very interesting, well presented. Thank you. So let me introduce our next speaker. That's Jonas Ekmark, Head of Technology and Collaboration at Zenseact, which I think you could say is the autonomous driving arm of Volvo Cars. So Jonas, welcome.
Thank you, Hampus. I hope you can hear me.
Very well.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So I'm a long timer in Volvo Cars. I was there for 26 years. I actually had the pleasure to interact with Mobileye when they were still a startup, and we had a 16 years long collaboration, which was very successful. So that's that. The company Zenseact has the motto towards zero faster, and I will talk a bit about that, but it is related to road traffic safety. Cars have been around for like 100 years, and they form a backbone in our society. There are still a few stubborn problems related to road traffic, and traffic accidents is one of them. And the current size of this problem is huge. There's more than 1 million people killed each year globally in road traffic. There are something like 50 million people being injured each year. And the economic cost of road traffic crashes is something like $500 trillion, which is a few percent of the gross domestic products in industrialized countries. So there is reason to do something about this. Trying to understand what causes problems is kind of, scientists are in agreement about that. Most of the accidents, almost all of them, are caused by human mistakes. And this is a good thing because we can counteract this with mechatronics, software and hardware together that works to help humans avoid crashes. And this is what we're doing at Zenseact. Our so-called One Pilot software stack has 3 main legs, if you will. Drive is what we used to call active safety. It is functionality that helps the driver to avoid accidents by warnings and by automatic interventions. The cruise functionality will support the driver during long drives, keeping the lateral position as well as speed and longitudinal position. But still the driver is responsible for the safety. Now, the ride functionality is something new. It's not yet on the market, at least not in personal mobility. But we are putting such things on the market, and the idea here is that the robot is driving so safely that it can be trusted to take the complete responsibility for not causing accidents during the ride. Zenseact as a company is about 600 employees. The biggest office is in Gothenburg, Sweden. We have a small office in Sunnyvale, California, and also an office in Shanghai. We're mostly owned by Volvo Cars. We were formed as a spin-off from Volvo Cars and Autoliv 4 years ago. So we have a lot of heritage in bringing software to production in vehicles and knowing what it takes to do that. I'm going to say a few words about our next innovation project here, or moonshot, if you will. And it is about standardizing safety on a higher level. Polestar and Volvo Cars are our lead customers. And the idea is that we will have a lot of capacity in terms of sensors and computation on the cars. Actually, all the cars will have hardware that enables unsupervised self-driving in those new vehicles. And then the functionality will be provided as a service. And another new thing is that we will actively use the fleet and the data from the fleet in order to improve functionality during the vehicle's service life. And this is possible just because there is the functionality is to a large extent software defined. So we put in enough hardware not to have significant bottlenecks for the functionality, if you will. And that's an investment, but it will pay off in the long run in terms of new functionality. So I kind of alluded to this already, but the vehicles in the fleet will continuously send data to the cloud where it's made available for our developers in order to improve functionality, and then make over-the-air updates to improve the fleet directly. The new thing here is that the loop time of improvements is in the order of months. And as compared to hardware-defined functionality, there we have had the cycle time of vehicle platforms, which is like 7 years. So this development should be expected to be maybe a factor 10 or more faster. And that's what we mean with towards zero faster. So we will launch these vehicles in 2022, and the unsupervised functionality will be launched in 2023 in a limited ODD, in a limited region, and then expanding from there. So why are we here today? We want third-party innovation in this mix, because we believe that the important factors to be having a high speed of development here is, of course, the fleet and the data we get from that, and of course the ability to analyze the data and to make new solutions, but also the collaborations and the ability to engage third-party brains in this mix. So we have something called the developer suite, which is APIs and SDKs made available for third parties to become part of this platform with their software products in order to make it really useful. So yeah, summarizing this, we will use this fast method of development that is being enabled by digitalization. We will avoid and eventually try to exterminate traffic accidents. We will offer unsupervised self-driving, and we will save lives. And I hope you like to join our journey. Thank you.
Jonas. So our next presenter is Peter Salma from Quant. He's a group development manager. And Quant is a global Swedish maintenance company that is actually a spin-off from ABB a few years back. So welcome, Peter.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Let me put this presentation into full screen. Perfect. So once again, good morning, everyone. And at Quant, we always start with safety. So let me have a few seconds safety reminder here. Please make sure that wherever you are enjoying this presentation, you know where the safety exits are, where the fire extinguishers are, and so on. Well, yes, my name is Peter Salma. I'm the group development manager at Quant. And currently, I'm the product manager of Quantifact and QuantPredict. Somewhat more about them later. A few words about the company itself, just to put things into perspective. So yes, formerly we were part of big ABB. We were called ABB Full Service. And since 2015, we became an independent company. Those were the days when Quant as a brand was born. And what we do, we are basically a maintenance company. We take full responsibility for our customers' factories' maintenance. As of today, we maintain about 75 factories around the world with the headcount of approximately 2,400 people. And we operate in multiple or in various industries. We maintain factories coming from mining and minerals, pulp and paper, metals, chemical, discrete manufacturing, food and beverage. And you see some of our biggest customers in the lower section of the screen. When we approach maintenance, we have taken a lot of steps towards digitalization. We were trying to digitalize different areas of maintenance, including the safety. So in the past, people were walking around with papers and they were doing safety checks on paper. Now it's all at the tip of their hand. They do it on their mobile phone. We're digitalizing the workflow. We're using QuantWorks for that. Also, when it comes to OE or overall equipment effectiveness measurement, we do it with an online system called Quantifact. Knowing how much we can improve the productivity of our customers' factory, that's always key. Also, when it comes to value reporting, we use quant numbers for it. Then I will come to Quant Predict and say a little more about that in a few seconds, but that is basically our predictive maintenance system. And last but not least, we have converted a lot of our inspections from regular human inspections into a drone-based inspection. So let's focus in this presentation on Quant Predict. That is basically our IoT platform. We take sensor data, that what you can see on the left of my screen, and we use all kinds of sensors. We benefit a lot from wireless sensors because just simply we can save so much time and effort if we don't have to lay cables and so on. So we use a lot of wireless sensors, but we are also using some old-fashioned hardwired cables. All these sensors communicate through some kind of gateway. Some of them are sending data directly to our Quant Predict platform. Some are sending data to their OEM cloud, and we are fetching data from those clouds. In the end of the day, all the data is ending up in our IoT platform, where we are storing and analyzing the data. For all the data we are measuring, we can set alerts, and whenever an alert is reached, we are sending alert into Quant Predict. We are also sending email notifications, as well as we are sending an automatic service request to any of the CMMS or any of the maintenance systems, basically, as well as we have info screens in the factory and in the workshops too. So everyone in the maintenance team is updated whenever a machine will fail. And the parameters we are measuring, it is a big variety. Temperature, vibration, pressure, current, you name it. It's a lot of parameters to measure on the machines. And in our experience, we kind of think that AI is great, but it's not necessarily for every application. Typically in places where the measured parameter can be easily translated by a human, which is like temperature, pressure, you know, it's easy to understand. Also in areas where our experts gathered enough experience, they can determine what is the ideal operational condition. AI not necessarily have to be in place. And also where we can control the life with high and low limits. Those are sufficient. We don't necessarily have to use AI. And I just put a screenshot to be shared, which is a perfect example. Whichever parameter we are measuring, it's simple, it's one line, everyone can see whether it's right or wrong. So now let's focus on areas where we think that AI is more than feasible and more than useful. So when we take in sensor data, which is more sophisticated, which is more complicated to be processed by the regular human brain, and these data can be vibration, sound, thermography, it's a big amount of data compared to a simple temperature measurement. Also, when we feel that we have enough data, because in many places when we keep measuring just the temperature or pressure, it just simply doesn't seem to be reach the critical mass, which is enough to be measured, or sorry, which is enough to be analyzed by AI. Third, also it's where behavior of the machines and their deterioration follow similar pattern, practically a large installed base of the same kind. As in my previous slide, I mentioned that we work in many kind of industries in many parts of the world. So our installed base is extremely scattered. It's difficult to find exact same or at least very similar machines. But in places where that is given, AI is great. Also, we apply AI when the failures occur relatively frequently. We struggle to analyze data on machines which tend to fail once every 10 years. It's really difficult to train our models. But on machines which tend to fail frequently, much easier to train our AI models. And also where the failure modes are similar, much easier to train our AI models. So these are the areas where we are experimenting with AI or machine learning. And so far what we have benefited and what we will want to benefit in the future from AI. So most factories, one of the most valuable parameters is production time. Any disturbance in production causes significant financial loss. In some of our customers, 1 hour of lost production might only cost a few hundreds of euros. But in most places, we talk about tens of thousands of euros. And when it comes to production disturbance, very often one of the biggest loss makers is unfortunately unplanned asset breakdown. And this is basically our territory. This is where we can influence the most. And by applying artificial intelligence, the right sensor applications, asset condition can be understood better, giving longer time to prepare for any corrective action, and works can be potentially performed during non-production time, eliminating time lost due to unplanned breakdowns. So for us, knowing when a machine will fail is key to success. Either we can schedule the work for a non-planned production time, with that we can save valuable production time, or if that's not possible because we see that the deterioration is too fast, the failure will occur before they stop the machine, then at least we can do a lot of preparation. Practically, we can gather people to the machine, we can prepare the spare parts, we can check the manuals, we can do a lot of planning, and we still might lose some production time, but we can reduce the time lost. So ultimately, our target is to achieve higher technical availability, and by achieving higher technical availability, we want to support our customers with higher overall equipment effectiveness. So this is what we do. This is what we started to test and pilot. And basically, we look for partners who can join in this journey, who have gathered experience in analyzing such data, and they have experience how to apply it in the world of maintenance. That's it from my side. I would like to say thank you for listening to this presentation, and I look forward to talk many of you in the breakout sessions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. Excellent. So now we will listen to Katarina Brud, Director of Mobility X Lab in Sweden. Mobility X Lab is a innovation hub founded by 6 global companies to create and develop new innovations within future mobility. So Katarina, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and good morning to everyone listening in. So I will present Mobility X Lab and also talk a little bit about the opportunities we have. And as you all know, to be ahead of change is never as important as it is today. And if we look at the automotive industry, we stand before major challenges, but it's also major opportunities. So to keep the competitiveness in this changing world, we need a new way of working, a faster way of working, and a way of where you can work in closer collaboration with each other. And that is also why Mobility X Lab was founded 4 years ago by 6 industry players, as mentioned, which you see here on the screen. So I think that's fairly unique with our collaboration hub, that it's founded by 6 industry players who wanted to find new innovations and solutions for future mobility. They saw the need of how they could work in closer collaboration with each other, but also how we can work in closer collaboration and partnerships with startups and emerging companies around the world. So that's the purpose of Mobility X Lab. And what we offer is the opportunity for strategic partnerships. And I know you listened to a few of those this morning as well, because to stay ahead of competition, we need to collaborate and work closer together with each other. And I think what's unique with Mobility X Lab is that we act as the neutral platform, a neutral interface between our corporate partners and startups with the mission to accelerate collaboration together. And one of the unique things is to be accepted to Mobility X Lab as an emerging company with a solution and new innovation that wants to collaborate with corporates. We need to have at least 2 of our founding partners interested in collaborating. So we really want to foster a new culture where we work in closer collaboration with each other. And that's also one of the benefits of being a part of Mobility X Lab, is that you might be invited by 2 of our partners, but you actually get interaction and close contact with all of our founding partners at the same spot. And another visualization of this is kind of the place that we are situated in here in west of Sweden, a place called Lindholmen. It's extremely dense if you look to the future of mobility solutions companies and innovation at this hotspot. And I think the benefit of interacting with Mobility X Lab, we gather all of our founders together virtually. We know how to do that, but also physically, as we are a neutral hotspot and gathering place for our corporates and also startups being a part of Mobility X Lab to interact in our physical office. And when you do that, you get to meet our partners as we're just around the corner for everyone, and it's a neutral interaction spot. And how we are set up, I think, is also fairly unique. I say we're founded by our corporate founders, and we are a neutral platform for them to interact on. So we have this neutral team, the Mobility X Lab team, my colleagues, where we work as the interface between our corporates and startups, and to make sure that the collaborations accelerate. But what I think also is unique, that we have different groups. We're deeply connected with our partners. And here you heard Leif earlier this morning, and we have all of our partners represented in our management team. So they are also Mobility X Lab. And we meet and interact and discuss how we can collaborate and work together with startup more efficiently every week. So I think that's fairly unique as well. And here on the other side, you see our board, where Jonas Ekmark, who you just listened to, is a part of as well. And we also have a setup where we have a marketing and communication team that is our founding partners as well. So it all goes together and interacts, and we're the neutral platform that facilitates everything to make it smooth for the emerging companies that are part of what we do. So we have a framework, a structured framework, to make sure that we accelerate together, and that runs each 6 months, you can say. So we invite emerging companies, startups and scale-ups each 6 months, and then parallel to that, we look for new startups. And right now we're in the time where we have our selection for which startups we want to collaborate with, starting in January 2022. So this week is actually our pitch week. We have selected 30 startups that are now pitching for our partners within different areas. And then in January, we'll invite them to join our framework. And the cut to be invited is that they have a solution innovation that is of interest to at least 2 of our founding partners. And our founding partners then needs to have a dedicated person behind that interest to collaborate with them. And then Mobility X Lab makes sure we run this framework to see that the acceleration goes on and supports that. And the mission here is also to create partnerships or commercial contracts between startups and partners. So far, you see here, we have I think it's 60 startups in our startup portfolio over these years. And they come from India to Canada, Sweden, Israel, and everything in between. And so far, we have about 45 startups who've been through kind of the framework, the program we have here at Mobility X Lab. And 30 of those startups has had proof of concepts together with our partners, and actually over 60 proof of concepts with our partners. So that's a pretty good number. And so far we resulted in 12 partnerships, and that's commercial contracts or partnerships. And one of those is, as an example, is Fortelix from Israel, who has partnered with Volvo Group for large-scale verification of autonomous drive solutions on highways or in confined spaces. So pretty proud of them, and also a great example of a connection that has led to a partnership. So as I mentioned, we are looking for new startups each 6 months. We're just kind of finished our application period for the fall now, but in February we're opening up a new one, and we want to find new innovations and solutions for future mobility. This last time, we each 6 months look at what kind of areas is of interest to our partners, because it needs to have an interest, and also they need to have the resources to look further into the innovation solutions and startups that comes to us, because it's also a timing question here. So far we've had 5 focus areas that we are now evaluating startups for. So I wanted to share that, and in February we will launch perhaps new areas, or lesser, fewer, or more defined, but this is what it can look like. So it's been in-cabin technology, connectivity, electromobility, safety assurance, smart transport systems, and sensor software innovation. So we're in the process of discussing which focus areas we will select for spring. But what I can say, I see that electromobility will still be of interest, and that would be energy management, battery analytics, and second life energy storage, for example. I think that would very much be of interest for the coming application as well. Connectivity is also of interest to us. In-cabin technology might stay on as well, and also in this time we are in, of course we need to look at sustainable solutions and innovations as well. I think that's important for us across the board of the startups we are looking for, and the collaborations, that they all need to be sustainable for a better tomorrow. And here is also an Israeli company that has been a part and is now an alum to Mobility X-Lab Aurora Labs, that works with self-healing software. And I think this was pre-COVID, when we could have physical events, and he said, where in the world can I actually get access to 6 of the world's most innovative and automotive companies in one single location? And I think that's a strong offer that we have here at Mobility X-Lab, that once you're in the door and you interact with us, you don't only get one company to work together with, you get interaction with several at once, and we see lots of opportunities being created there. And then also having Mobility X-Lab as the support to make sure that we accelerate together. And here also one of our partners, Håkan Samuelsson from Volvo Cars. And I think what we've seen over these 4 years is also how our corporate partners has accelerated in collaboration with startups, and that they have created processes within their companies to work further and faster with each other. And I'm Katarina Brud, and I want to invite startups and emerging companies who has new innovations and solutions that will provide a safer, more efficient and connected future together with our corporate partners, to join us at Mobility X-Lab. And my suggestion, if you're interested, is to sign up for our newsletter to stay updated. Thank you.
Thank you, Katarina. Really cool, and hopefully we will see some even more Israeli partners in Mobility X-Lab going forward. So now we will take a little break, so around 15 minutes break. And when we come back, we will listen to 3 more corporate presentations from EKX, NVIDIA, and Fox Labs, followed by startup pitches. And we will then end with presentations from Chalmers University, Tel Aviv University, and Linköping University. So we will gather again at 10 Swedish time, 11 Israeli time. So thank you very much so far, and see you in a bit. So welcome back. And for new viewers, welcome to the Connector. We will now continue with the second half of the conference program. We will have 3 more large corporate presentations, startup pitches, and academia presentations. And we will finish at around 11:30 Swedish time, 12:30 Israel time. So I'd like to welcome Ariella Rothstein, co-lead at ICAX, the innovation hub of the ICA Group, Sweden's largest grocery retailer. Welcome, Ariella.
Great, thank you. So nice to be here. I can see that my picture is a bit blurry, but I hope you hear me all right. So I'm Ariella, and I'm part of the team running the innovation hub at the ICA Group. I was a part of it since the beginning 4 years ago, and we have been building it, reshaping it, and are continuously developing our hub. And looking back at my career, I noticed that I'm drawn to situation where you can say, we have done this before. So I find myself at the right place for the moment. But why an innovation hub at the ICA Group? The only thing we know for sure is that the future will not be the same as it is today. So imagine, when there are robots in the store, when the drones are delivering our food, when you only need to take a pill instead of shopping groceries, when you're doing all the farming yourself by the store, all the fruit and veg. So everything will look differently, and we need to keep up with the technology, the speed, and also finding the right ecosystem, the partners of doing this, of facing the future. And we have been successful for more than 100 years, but we need to do something if we will continue to be successful. And that, just to give you some insight of the ICA Group, so the grocery retail part, we are around 1,300 stores driven by free shop owners in cooperation. So it's not an integrated chain. Every store has its own store owner that decides for themselves. But of course, we cooperate a lot in terms of buying, marketing, logistic, and even more things. But we are more than grocery retailer. We also have a real estate company, a bank and insurance company, a pharmacy, and we also are an owner in Min Doctor, which is an online doctor. So it's a broad offering. And we have a turnover of around 126 billion Swedish crowns. And there are 23,000 people working within the ICA Group and more than 50,000 within the stores, just to give you a brief insight of ICA. So more to ICAX then, our innovation hub. We say that we explore, experiment, and create future business of ICA. And what do we mean by that? Well, explore and experiment is about our method. We really dig deep into problems, new areas, and experiment. So we use a lot of lean startup method, of course, and design thinking going forward, and really try to build things fast and measure and learn. And we also say that we create future business of ICA. So it's not just, a new feature to a product, really new areas, exploring new areas to see what could be the future for us. And we also say that we're almost like a gardener, that we sow a lot of seeds, and some of them die, there won't be any plants, but some of them will grow into small plants. And when they are big enough, we replant them in another part of the organization in our operating companies. So in that sense, that means that we have a strong collaboration with our operating companies. Even though we make the innovation a bit on the side, we need to have a strong commitment so the plant really will grow and prosper and scale within our operating companies. And if we look at the innovation horizons, of course, the operating companies are more working with optimizing their business all the time. We try to extend that, and even further, our vision is to also be more transformative, which is really hard, but we really try to go in that direction. And also as a gardener, you need a lot of tools, right? So we work with a lot of research, more strategic insight, marketing understanding to know what kind of problems do we have, where do we have to dig deeper. We also do a lot of projects which is ICA fully owned, that we do, that we develop ourselves, but also we do a lot of things to accelerate innovation in partnerships with a lot of startups. We see that as a great innovation power to use the innovation and services that are out there and combine it with our infrastructures and assets, and that could be something really strong. So we are working in all these dimensions. And we are both working with things that are more towards the consumer. Like, for example, we launched our voice assistant when Google came with the Swedish language on their platform. And also we're working with more ICA's underlying processes. Like one example that we did is a waste management service to our employees within the store to reduce food waste. Other things that we are working with is Pronto, which is a service that is almost like Foodora. It's a home delivery service for ready meals, but also that you can shop, of course, your regular groceries within us, and then you get it delivered within an hour. When we launched this a few years ago, this was quite new, but now, of course, we can see different players that are coming up and also are delivering food within 10 minutes. So that's the next step for this service. Another example that we did together with the insurance company that we have is called Insurance Wallet. We did that together with a startup that had the technology that we needed. And it's that you can collect all your insurances from different insurance company. You have it on one place, and then you get offerings from the ICA insurance if ICA can offer a better insurance what you already have. So it's like a comparing service. And then another project that we're running right now is ICA 24 or ICA to go that we call it now. It's unmanaged stores. So we were focusing on the stores that are a bit more out on the countryside, which are not able to have long opening hours. So now the consumer can shop 24/7 without any personnel in the store. And of course, it's through the technology that you can identify yourself and the doors will enter and you have the security system with you. You shop with your mobile, you pay, the door will open and you leave the store. So just to give you a few examples of what kind of innovation we are doing within the ICA group. But if we're looking ahead, the year is 2030 and you are going to the store, what do you see then? Before you enter, you receive a text message from a store employee that says, the dinner you order is ready in 5 minutes. Once you get inside, maybe you spot a robot ferrying around candy bars. Or you walk under a flying in-store drone. Or maybe what stands out is what you can see, the cashiers and the checkout lines. And whatever retail store we are imagine, it will likely be built on technologies that are tested today. And of course, more than us are looking into the store of the future. But we want to, this is what we're really exploring now further. And we are focusing on 2 areas within the future of the store, super efficiency and climate positive. So we're really looking into new technologies, new business models, both front stage and backstage. So how will this look for the consumer? How will it look for the employees? We have been looking into different computer vision use cases, payment methods, subscription of circularity, so also the sustainability parts. How do we build a store that really maybe is fully regenerated store? And in order to do this, we of course also looking into the ecosystem to finding the right partners, startups, expertise to build up on this and to see what the store of the future will look like. And I'm looking forward to have a further discussion this afternoon in the areas of this also. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ariella. So now I'd like to introduce Nati Amsterdam, Senior Country Director of NVIDIA, the global American tech company with large R&D presence and activities in Israel. Welcome.
Let me share my slide deck. You see my deck?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay, so I don't know, I'm sure that most of you are familiar with NVIDIA. Today, NVIDIA is the leading AI computing company. Probably most of the people, you know, when we started the discussion, some of the people we are pitching to knows NVIDIA from the gaming and entertainment. That's actually where NVIDIA started 30 years ago when inventing the GPU. But today we are working and we are transforming most of the leading industry verticals in the world, starting from visualization, where we identify a lot of companies doing simulation, manufacturing companies, through augmented reality and virtual reality, of course, AI, machine learning, and data analytics. And the healthcare ecosystem is something that we are doing a lot of activities around medical imaging and genomics. I can share with you that during COVID-19, we were very active, both with research institutions, but also with a lot of startup companies developing technologies in the area of medical imaging and genomics. Through 5G, which is something that we are seeing significant growth these days. Of course, autonomous vehicles in different levels and different stages, and robotics, which in the last year we are seeing this area grows very fast. So all of these industry verticals or specific subjects that we are leading, NVIDIA actually develops a lot of software development kit and tools to support the startups and support the ecosystem. So we are developing platforms that are running over our hardware. As you can see below, NVIDIA has a different type of hardware that we are running our technology on top of, whether it's in the data center or at the edge or on any embedded device. So most of our days we are spending a lot of time as a technology partner with many startups and many industries and industry leading companies to help them on board on our software, use the models and the algorithms and all the data sets, the trained data sets that we are supporting to help them really accelerate their research. So usually when we start a discussion with a specific company, the first thing that we are doing is identifying what's the maturity of the company we are working with. Since I understood that in the audience we have both startup but also industry companies and people coming from large enterprises as well, depending on where you are at the maturity stage of your organization, starting from a company that just showed early interest in AI and we have conversation in the organization. In Israel specifically, there are a lot of high-tech companies that has significant product footprint in the global market, but they've not yet deployed AI in all of their applications. So they're currently in early interest through companies that moves to the experimentation part, mainly in data science context, where they start to develop some models and try to see what they can gain from using AI. Through companies that use AI in production, those companies usually are asking for NVIDIA to support them with best practices and experts and technologies that we can offer. Of course, all the way to companies that are really transformational, that AI is being part of business DNA. So usually what we identify from a maturity level is that startup companies that are doing AI are really transformational because AI is part of the products and they already have the experience and the team to support all of the things that they are trying to build. So for that, NVIDIA has a virtual accelerator that we support. We support startup companies through a program called Inception. We have more than 8,000 companies in the program today. In Israel, we have several hundreds that are part of the program, but of course, we are welcome to do the introduction to new startup company. And what we are doing is we are giving them the expertise of NVIDIA and guidance on our SDKs, 150 plus SDKs, and access to a lot of machine learning algorithms and models that NVIDIA already developed through a technology assistant. And when I say technology assistant, it means not only supporting them with pricing, but also supporting them with understanding exactly which GPU will they use for which use case that they're trying to develop. One of the key things that we are doing with startups is supporting the go-to-market as well. So I can tell you that Israeli startups are present in GTC. GTC is the global technology conference from NVIDIA. They get huge exposure on the stage. We also give them the opportunity to talk in GTC, but also we use the interesting stories with the global impact, and we put them on the main stage on Jensen's keynote. And of course, invitation to venture capital events and all that type of things. So and again, we have an exclusive access to a list of VCs and investors that are looking at NVIDIA to really put the spotlight on the interesting companies. So this is something that we are doing, whether it's through GPU Ventures, which is NVIDIA internal VC, or through external investment opportunities. Just an example of success stories. For example, you can see here a startup company that during COVID-19, we identified that they have a system that is able to check whether a surgeon going into surgery has everything that he needs on him, a mask, gloves, to run the testing on all of that using computer vision, of course. And so this is one example of, and again, this use case is being used in all of the healthcare pitches that we are doing with large HMOs and large hospitals. So the exposure is quite significant. Through another startup who is doing a real-time visual inspection for healthcare during surgery as well. I use the healthcare because this is something that we really like. We invest a lot of effort in this specific vertical industry. Through just the third one, which is a thermal net, identifying with thermal cameras the heat of the body, and being able to improve, building privacy protection, of course, and being able to identify people that are hotter than usual. So I described a little bit about our support with startup and the ecosystem. So what do we usually do with corporates and more of industrial companies and large enterprises? So the way to do the first step toward building an AI strategy, as far as we see, would be to build an AI innovation lab. Usually an AI innovation lab involved building an infrastructure, computing infrastructure that is based on NVIDIA technology to run training of the models. With those specific computing infrastructure platform, we bring a few use cases, we bring a lot of models, we work together, we connect to the big data of the organization to identify a specific place where we want to invest. Of course, it includes also all the access to the software hub of NVIDIA, which is the NVIDIA GPU Cloud. It's a large repository of software. All of it is open with all of NVIDIA platforms and all of NVIDIA goodies. Usually we also add to the innovation lab the access to the Deep Learning Institute, which is online labs, hands-on online labs that we use to educate the organization, starting from executive briefing through deep technical hands-on labs for the specific areas where we want to develop the knowledge. And this AI innovation lab is really helps them to start the transformation, to kick off the transformation together with our support and our team. So I spoke about startups and how we support them through inception, enterprises that are going the journey toward building an AI innovation lab. By the way, we found out that that's the best working way, because working in the existing method would not help to create innovation, would not drive innovation. This is the way that we identified as the right one. Just to give you an example, we just announced an innovation lab with Tel Aviv City around building the future street in Tel Aviv through the innovation lab with them. We did the same with Asuta Medical Hospital, one of the leading global medical hospitals in Israel, to also build a research innovation lab together with them. And again, this is also goes to getting access to, as I said, to NGC. NGC is a software hub. All of that is things that NVIDIA develops and we bring as part of the innovation lab. Just an example, think of a company that wants to develop something around computer vision, and NVIDIA gives them already the models with a 80% accuracy training for face detection, for license plate recognition. You can start with that and build your algorithm on top of that and just train it on your own class or your own data. Finally, it's not only startups and industry companies. We are also doing work with countries. One of the things that we are seeing today is large AI nation programs, an organization that countries and governments are globally building supercomputers to support the demand from both research and startup companies as well. This is just an example of a few countries. One of the key things here is that when this supercomputer is built, we use our startup ecosystem to introduce them to the government AI Nation program and give them access to the supercomputing capabilities. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I'm happy to introduce Dana Hostein-Mann, Head of Innovation at Fox Group, or Fox Labs, sorry, the innovation arm of the Fox Group, leading fashion retail group in Israel. Welcome, Dana.
Welcome. Thank you. It's great to be here. Is my screen shared, or I think it's paused?
You can see your presentation, but presentation mode.
Okay, let's try and address that. How are we doing?
No.
All right. Thank you. It's great to be here. I look forward to the day when we can all get together in person, but until then, thank you to the organizers for so thoughtfully crafting this virtual gathering. I'm Dana Hostein-Mann. I'm the head of innovation at Fox Labs, which is the brand new innovation arm for a Fox Group, launched earlier this year. At Fox Labs, we are essentially the meeting point for the startup nation and Israel's retail, and we aim high. We aim to be a part of shaping the future of the retail industry worldwide. Fox Group is Israel's leading retailer. We are a publicly traded entity on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, and we have about 20 brands, 50% of which are either wholly or partially owned, and the other 50% are franchises. We have crossed the $1 billion mark in annual revenues. We are in 20 countries, including Sweden, 800 stores. We have more than 2 million members in our loyalty membership club. We have Israel's leading fashion e-commerce platform. And that is Fox Group. At Fox Labs, our mission is to infuse technology into the group, across the group. So in any one of the brands or across the group functions and all throughout the supply chain. And we are looking for technologies to pilot with and partner with, and down the road, potentially also invest in. The way we do this is by providing a beta site for new technologies and startups, a design partnership. And once the technology has proven its value and the team has proven its quality, we will develop a scale-up plan at the individual pace of each and every company. This is not a program that has cohorts, but rather an individually crafted path for each one of the companies that enter our pilot program. The scale-up plan is across the group. And of course, there's global expansion opportunities through the vast global network of Fox Group. And if the pilot is successful and the market feedback is positive, we are looking to build a high quality investment portfolio of retail tech startups. With me on the team are Mikey Ben-Ari, who has been VP Business Development and Innovation for the Fox Group for about 5 years and has spearheaded innovative projects across the group and also maintains strong ties to the group's global network. Einav Margalit, who's here in the audience somewhere, has also been in Fox Group for about 5 years and has extensive experience in marketing and has worked with practically almost every brand in the group. And together we're excited to share our complementary skills and experience to work very closely with each and every company in the pilot portfolio to our shared invested success in the success of the pilot, but also in the success of the company long-term. What we are looking for are mainly three things. There are a lot of things on this slide, but the three most important things are, number one, of course, a team that is visionary, execution-oriented, and that we believe has what it takes to take the company full path. Of course, the technology has to be a strong technology with large market potential. And thirdly, the added value to the Fox Group itself. I'll talk more about what we're looking for specifically in the context of this event at the very end of the presentation. What we offer as part of our pilot program is access across three different elements. The first element is the entire retail supply chain. Fox Group manufactures and imports and sells, of course, in all channels. And so whichever part of the retail supply chain your technology targets, we are active in that space. And we also have the people that have the experience in that part of the supply chain. So again, wherever it is that your company, across the supply chain that your company targets, our team of very senior, the very top of the executive team of Fox Group is ready and interested and eager to provide of their experience and to help the company and the technology develop and move forward. The third element is the global network. Fox Group has relationships with the brand owners, of course, but also the real estate developers, the mall owners, the advisors, everyone who is the shippers, the logistics, all the largest entities globally across the supply chain are on our speed dial. And once again, we've had a successful pilot, we are more than happy to extend our Rolodex. And an introduction that comes from Fox Group as a vetted introduction, of course, carries a lot of weight. And so how does it work? The first step of what we're doing at Fox Labs is, of course, the deal flow sourcing. And that's part of why we're here. We want to meet with any entrepreneur that has a technology that could bring value to Fox Group. Like I said before, across any vertical brand, the group functions, or throughout the supply chain. Once we meet with a company that we like and feels meets our criteria, we do internal opportunity mapping and search for the best match for that technology within the group. Of course, we also do outbound deal sourcing, where we start with a need and we have our own map of needs and priorities from the group for which we target companies specifically. We try to keep our pilots short and focused. Fox Labs' role is to be heavily engaged across the whole process of the pilot. We have mutual, again, invested interest in the success of the pilot, and we do whatever adjusting is necessary. We clearly define on both sides the desired outcomes of the pilot and the measurable KPIs, but we do realize that things change and the reality is dynamic, especially when working with early stage technology and a fast changing industry like the retail industry. And that's what Fox Labs is here to ensure, that both sides remain committed and execution oriented around this pilot. At the end of a successful pilot, like I said before, the sky is the limit. Scale up across the group and global expansion through our network of partners and potentially an investment. Our pilot portfolio is young and new, but it already includes company across the stages of the program I described. Early on in defining a pilot, to the global expansion and scaling up within the group, and also investments. What we are looking for and most excited today is, and I'm really looking forward to all the startups that we're going to be meeting later on today and tomorrow, is mostly we're curious to see how specifically AI can help us create the ultimate customer journey. So of course, eliminating lines and creating a contactless in-store experience, but one that syncs with sort of a personalized online store experience, the omni-channel. We're looking to reduce friction, but increase engagement. And mostly we're curious to see what you have to offer us that we haven't thought of before. So if we haven't had opportunity to meet or engage through the platform, please either email us directly, visit our website where you can also fill out a form, and we really look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dana. Excellent. So now I'm handing over to Yoav from Startup Nation Central to take us through the startup pitches and the academia presentation. So over to you, Yoav.
Thank you, Hampus. I'm excited to be presenting to you the pitch event segment. We have selected a few companies out of the exceptional pool of innovative companies participating in the event. If any of the following pitches strike your interest, feel free to log on to the B2Match platform and request a meeting for today or tomorrow. Obviously, you can also learn about the other great innovative and technology companies participating in the event, and obviously request a meeting.
My name is Ilan Flax. I am the head of business development at Phononia. Our beginnings came from two extraordinary physicists who saw a way to make the world a safer and more efficient place. We created our company to optimize all industries that require their critical assets to flow. We save businesses money through diminishing the number of man-made environmental disasters, prevent loss of life, salvage consumer goods, enhance water quality, and beyond. An industrial process infrastructure is similar to the human body. There are certain assets that are more critical than others. When my ankle hurts, I am conscious, but not that worried about it. However, when I get a pain in my chest, no matter how severe, I begin to worry. I question what is happening. I fear that my heart may be failing and the disastrous possible outcomes. Lastly, I question why is this happening and what can I do about it? At Phononia, we address all of these issues, but concerning industrial process infrastructures. Our cutting-edge technology monitors assets 24/7 to provide real-time data on the most critical assets' health and functionality. The easy-to-use platform organizes a condition monitoring system that can detect, classify, and store the historical data of even the smallest changes to the integrity of the underlying asset. The unique and patented deep sensing acoustic technology allows us to provide information as to why a critical asset is functioning abnormally. This allows for necessary maintenance to be administered in a timely manner. In addition, Phononia deploys machine learning models that is cross-referenced with real-time data to predict future critical assets' abnormal performance. We eliminate the fear of not knowing by providing the necessary data to answer what is currently happening, why it is occurring, and what could happen in the future. We are not here to tell you to eat an apple a day to keep the doctor away. We are here to transform the way we think about our most critical assets. We are focused on addressing the needs of any and all industries that have active flow processes. All industries that deal with a substance passing through industrial assets have potentially disastrous events associated with failures, explosions, or unplanned downtime. We have focused, but are not limited to, the oil and gas industry, wastewater or clean water industries, and food and cooling industries. We provide UCT's semiconductor fabrication plant with essential data to keep their production line of ultra-high purity assets operating smoothly. We currently provide the full extent of our technological capabilities to local oil refineries, power plants, and gas producers. We have helped these companies prevent catastrophic events from occurring, as well as save them money. Our goal is to expand beyond to become a safer and more efficient place with our technology. Thank you.
Thank you. For all you viewers back home, that was Ilan Flax, Senior Director of Business Development at Phononia. So our next pitch is presented by Idan Sergi, co-founder and CEO at Story, a data-driven task management for retailers. Here you go.
Hi, everybody. We are Story, and my name is Idan. I'm the co-founder of Story. And the main thing that we are dealing with is I think one of the biggest paradoxes in the retail market, which is the fact that today chain store managers expect store managers and district managers to constantly deal with improving sales. But in fact, the majority of the store managers today are not really capable of dealing with such challenging tasks. And it's not because they are not smart enough to do it, but not everybody is analytical enough that can read Excel sheets, identify pain points, and understand what they should do. And above all, if they are going to deal with increasing sales, usually the organization doesn't carry any kind of a tool to help them do it. This is why there are many tasks that people don't need to do anymore, especially not manually. And it's not just regarding increasing sales, but it's much more. This is why we developed an algorithm that mimics the work of retail managers. It deals mainly in three different aspects. that of store management, of course, that affects directly of the store sales. The first one, communication and operation. This algorithm, which we implemented in a task management tool explicitly designed for the retail market, is first of all making sure that every message that you would like to deliver to the stores is 100% delivered. Every task, everything that you are asking the stores to do and achieve, 100% fulfillment of the tasks. Everything has happened automatically. The second one, revenue protection. Our algorithm constantly monitors the data of the retailer, identifying issues that impact revenues in every store. Automatically convert the issue into a task, share it with the store manager, make sure they fulfill the task and share feedback with the headquarters. All about how you can protect your revenues and identify anomalies in your data. The third one, empowering your store force. How you can make sure with an automated tool that your store force, your frontline team are always armed with the most relevant set of recommendations. And as a CEO, as a chain store manager, you can sleep well at night knowing that all of your retail managers always knows exactly what they need to do in order to improve performance. Today we have approximately 50 customers in Israel and in several countries in Europe. We are dealing with every vertical you can think of, from pharmacies to beauty, fashion, shoes, whatever. Those are only some of them. Some of the benefits that you can see of working with an automated data-driven tool for store management, like deal smartly with your data, definitely streamline and automate your operations to reduce your operating expenses. You are saving precious time for your employees or for your data analysts, if you're carrying data analysts. And of course, as I said, just sleep well at night, knowing that everything and everybody is always driving forward to improve performance. This is us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Idan. Definitely a technology that's relevant to many of the participants in this event. I'm glad to now invite Ofri Ben-Porat, co-founder and CEO of Edgify, who will be presenting and also showcasing a great demo. To you, Ofri.
Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Ofri, and together with Nadav, who runs our R&D office in Tel Aviv, we're the co-founders of Edgify. Now, Edgify was founded almost 7 years ago with one goal in mind, and that's to change the way we train AI models today. Up until today, the only way to train AI models was to collect a lot of data from your edge devices, such as self-checkouts, cameras, smart cars, machinery, upload that data to the cloud or to your servers, take that data, send it to be labeled, usually in Southeast Asia, get the labeled data back, train the model, deploy the model back to the edge, and let it run for inference. This process is very cumbersome. It has a lot of privacy risks as well, and is quite complex on the actual latency of transferring data. In fact, Andy Jassy from AWS mentioned recently that using conventional means of data transfers, it will take you 26 years to transfer 1 exabyte of data. Walmart, for an example, generates an exabyte of data every 2 weeks. And what we've done at Edgify is take this entire process and compress it completely into the edge device itself, meaning that no data ever has to leave the edge device. It runs both the training, the retraining, and the inference all together. The way it works, and I'll use retail as an example to explain it, is that Edgify is a framework, a software framework that gets installed on any one of your edge devices, in this case, self-checkouts. And just to let you know, we will shortly be showing a quick live demo and a real self-checkout here behind me. So each self-checkout gets the Edgify software integrated, and that software does 3 things. The first thing it does is run a complete training loop on the edge device itself. Every time the edge device generates a data point, like somebody buying a bag of bananas, a car seeing a red light, or anything like that that happens, the machine trains itself to recognize that item and using the environment as a way to label. In the case of retail, it's the consumer clicking menu, fruit, banana, giving us the label for the banana. So your grocery shoppers becoming your data scientists, if you will. Once each machine trains itself on the data that it saw that day, it then shares the knowledge, just the model, not the data. The data is deleted off the machine and never leaves it. It shares just the knowledge and the model with all the other machines in its network, be it in the same store or across sites. There's a collaboration happening between the devices. And so the next morning, all the machines have a model that was trained across all of them together. And that is the baseline of the Edgify collaborative distributed training framework. We also have a component of a platform so that our clients can manage the training, see which edge devices are participating in the training, and manage those devices remotely. And with that said, I'll go to the quick demo, and I'll share screen from our self-checkout behind me so you can see the process, and I'll finish explaining how that looks in real world. Right. So you can now see the self-checkout has joined the call. You can see the screen of the self-checkout in front of you. And just to get us started, we'll take a few bananas, place them, and as soon as they're placed, this little USB camera, and that's all required. There's no cloud connection, no cloud component here. Everything Edgify develops is sitting inside the machine right now, and it's creating the inference. And as soon as the client approves the prediction that Edgify had, now the machine is saying, okay, I saw the banana, I predicted banana, the customer approved the prediction, I can now use that to train the model. So now the model is improving. In that case, it doesn't matter if they're loose items or they're in a bag. As long as the labeling is happening at the edge, you can see that this bag is not very clear. It's even hard to tell through the camera what's in it, but the machine should be able to detect it just the same through the screen. So as soon as the customer clicks the approval, now it's getting better, and it's learning again how to recognize these bananas. Even something that is also yellow, that might look a bit different in this unclear bag, as long as the customers continuously shop in that way, you'll see that it'll still recognize the lemon. Now you saw that it gave two options, and that's because it's still learning. This is our demo unit in the office. And as soon as the customer clicks to conclude the transaction, now the machine has taken everything that it learned today, generates a new model, and then shares that model with all the other machines in its network. And that's how the model improves. And that is how Edgify's framework operates in the real world today. And it's true for self-checkouts here, but our framework can be embedded today on any edge device that has a CPU or GPU and is connected and trying to learn computer vision models. That's it from us for now. Thank you very much for listening, and hope to meet all of you soon.
Very interesting. Thank you, Afri. I'm glad to now invite our first Swedish startup, Zipdoor, presented by their CEO, Mikael Rodin. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Mikael Salman Rodin. I'm the CEO of Zipdoor IT-Safe, and I will give you a short introduction about our company and what we are doing. And we use the new slogan now, do your part and be cyber smart. And what we have seen here since the global outbreak of COVID-19, the switch to online working and new dependence on IT, we have had increase dramatically in cybercrime. Just in UK, they have had for the last year 6.2 million pounds in cyber scams. And we can also see it's a 31% increase during the pandemic. This cybercrime will continue to increase, and we can see that the global economy fears a cost of 10.5 trillion until 2025, and this will continue to increase as long as companies continue to secure themselves as they've done in the past. What we are looking out for as breaking point is from these kind of big attacks that have approached in the media that you probably not have missed. We have the SolarWinds attack. That was the 10th largest cyber hack in the world. And it approached to more than 30,000 US organizations. And after that, you also have this Microsoft Exchange server that exposed almost all businesses in the US, but also it's forced a lot of cost for this organization that had this cyber hack. To build up a modern, secure infrastructure, there is 3 pillars that you need to have in a component today. It's zero trust, it's the end-to-end encryption, and it's also decentralized data storage and protection. For the idea of zero trust, which have been in the market for some time, you need to don't trust a single piece of anyone who try to access or authenticate against your infrastructure. There is everything from data, devices, apps, and users, both inside and outside the company. We also need to look into the end-to-end encryption, and you need to encrypt everything from data to data, from user to users, and from device to device. And you also need to decentralize the data and the storage for protection. And to do this, we are working with a concept where we combine both the zero trust, the end-to-end encryption, and decentralized data and storage. And for this purpose, you can either, as a user, use your mobile phone or a security key to secure your data online. And it's connected to all the infrastructure in our organization. So do your part and be cyber smart. Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you, Mikhail. Please now welcome Amir Bahlul, Advanced Innovation Director at Augury, one of Israel's leading I4 companies, which recently completed their Series E at $180 million. Welcome, Amir.
Hello, my name is Amir and I'm with Augury. I understand that we have only 3 minutes, so I'll do it really quickly. Augury is a word coming from Latin to English, and it means a prophecy. Our vision is a world where people can always rely on the machines that matter. Augury was founded because we realized that most of the products and services that we consume today are being performed by machines, and not knowing what is the health of the critical production asset costs a lot of money. If it were possible to know what is the health of every critical production asset, it would have been possible to save 40% of the maintenance cost and more than 50% of the downtime and much more. This is exactly what Augury is doing. We are providing machine health as a service. We are able to predict practically all of the mechanical and electromechanical malfunctions in critical production assets. We monitor we deploy wireless sensors on the critical machines. Those sensors are sending data to the cloud where we have algorithms continuously diagnosing the critical production asset. And once there is a problem, our algorithms provide a prescriptive diagnostics that include what are the possible causes for the problem, in which part of the machine does the problem exist. So if it's a bearing, for example, in which bearing is it? How to repair it, including step-by-step recommendations for the maintenance engineer, and when should it be repaired in the coming months, weeks, or even more immediate than that. Once a repair is being performed by the customer, they have an interface to enter the details of the repair, and then they get a feedback whether or not the repair was successful or if more actions are needed. By today, we've been diagnosing over 80,000 machines globally. Our detection accuracy is more than 99%. We provide value from day one, and more than 90% of our recommendations today are being performed in the field. Augury has raised over almost $300 million, and today we are 250 employees. Our current valuation is more than $1 billion. Some of the companies who work with us include Procter & Gamble, Colgate, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, Nestle, and many, many other well-known brands. We don't have much time, but I would be happy to continue this conversation in the one-on-one meeting in the rest of the webinar. Thank you very much.
Great. Our next presenter is Peter Bondrup, coming from Aperio Systems, very interesting company to present it to you. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Peter Bondrup and I'm with Aperio Systems.
So Aperio has built a solution to ensure full data integrity in all your operational data in real time. We're still a small company, around 20 employees. We're headquartered out of Boston in the US with technology development in Israel and, importantly, strategic partners and customers around the world. When it comes to operational data, what we see currently is volumes are growing exponentially. A lot of data is being generated. A lot of the data at the same time is unreliable. And that means it's underused or fully unused. So the question then becomes, how good is your data? Now, looking at data in modern industrial operations, it really underlies everything. Typically, there's a data source, such as a data warehouse, a data lake, or a historian, and a lot of applications drawing on this data for operations and business decisions. And the people working with the data would be anyone from data scientists, digital teams, operations managers, plant managers, and even to the C-suite. But the thing is, data application is not without issue due to the problems I mentioned in the beginning. A lot of times, poor integrity data will lead to issues that manifest in the operations, such as asset downtime, operator error, underreporting, bad modeling, and so on and so forth, things that are costing you real money. And this is where Aperio comes in. So Aperio sits as a filter around the data source to ensure that all the data that's being applied is high integrity. That basically means that you can apply the data indiscriminately without worrying whether it's good or bad, but you know that your applications will work. So in short, working with Aperio allows you to do better validation of your operational time series data. And this applies to all digital initiatives and all initiatives driven by data. It provides increased visibility so that your workers now know what they're dealing with in terms of the data that they're applying on a daily, maybe even hourly and shorter basis. And this, of course, yields higher productivity, no more time spent in cleaning up data. And we do this in a very simple process where we deploy the software, starts monitoring the sensors and data streams. It'll detect data integrity anomalies, validate your data sets at scale, and with this, you'll start to track, report, and improve on your data integrity. We've also developed several metrics at Aperio, the central one being the data quality index. Obviously, you need some way to measure whether your data is actually what you think it is. And for this, we use the DQI, which is essentially quantification of the data integrity. So at a glance, you see what is the state of your operational data. Now, we work a lot with partners. We work both with end customers, but also with partners, because we see this ecosystem of companies providing digital and data-driven solutions to end customers. And this is where Aperio comes in. Aperio takes care of ensuring that the data is fully integral and the partner can focus on doing their value-added work, the model building, the maintenance schedules, whatever service that they're providing. And we integrate this in a seamless chain, and importantly, towards the end customer, everything looks the same, just better quality. So in short, with Aperio, it's faster time to value because we do the data integrity ensuring, and you can focus on the stuff that you do best. We have a few use cases, no time to go into them here, I guess, but happy to discuss these in detail afterwards. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Peter. Next up is Oscar Jacobson, Chief Product Officer at Ambori, another outstanding Swedish company who specialize in connecting the physical and digital worlds of public places.
Hello, thank you very much. My name is Oscar Jacobson. I'm working for Ambori. Ambori is a SaaS company providing a platform for digital experience in the physical environment. So what we do is we can connect IoT devices like cameras and sensors, put an AI algorithm on top of that and data analysis, and then interact with anyone with digital signage, mobile phones, like store staff device or a customer device. Usually in a retail environment, when you want to digitalize that, you start with building on top of your e-com or your ERP or your POS system. And they are not built to be that digital platform in the physical environment. So what you end up with is long lead times, complex dependencies, a lot of testing, and also a long development time, since you are putting your little test in the backlog of everything else that needs to be done on this giant legacy system. So what we have created is a platform only for developing digital experience in that physical space. And we have also created some standard applications like queue management or appointment booking or fitting room solutions that you can install by the click of a button. So they're ready to use, download from our OnBoardingGrid marketplace. But you can also have your own development team. If you have an IT department, they can build on OnBoardingGrid. And if you have solution integrators like Avanade and TCS, they are very familiar with building on OnBoardingGrid as well. So anyone is able to build on OnBoardingGrid. And by building on OnBoardingGrid, you actually then have the opportunity of using that data across all the different solutions and applying your AI algorithm across different solutions. So if you want to have your loyalty system working in the fitting room, you can then also use it in a queuing situation, or if you want to book in a personal shopping experience. So everything is then connecting and everything is up to use and can be sort of integrated in those solutions. Just briefly looking at what kind of solutions we have, you see them on the map here, the blue dots. It can be anything from a fitting room or an endless aisle kiosk or personal shopping video calls. So any kind of solution can be built on top of OnBoardingGrid, and these are just examples of some that we already have. But they are really there to create that digital store experience, that omni-channel experience where your customer really wants to be, enjoy to be, and you're building your brand and loyal customer. Thank you.
Great, Oscar. Thank you for that great presentation. Next presenter is Lior Weiss, VP Business Development and Marketing at Celeno, one of our more veteran companies in the program, offering connectivity solutions in a wide range of industries. Take it away.
Hi there, my name is Lior Weiss, and I'm Celeno VP of Marketing and Strategic Business Development. It is a pleasure to introduce you to Celeno and our technology, and I hope to meet you all during the Connector event. Celeno is an Israeli semiconductor company in the connectivity space, and more specifically, the Wi-Fi connectivity space. The company is 15 years old, and we've sold 80 million chips globally to over 100 countries. We're focusing on Wi-Fi technology. Our Wi-Fi chips support the latest generation of Wi-Fi 6 and 6E, and are ranging from high-end premium chips for infrastructure and access point applications, all the way to lower cost and lower dimensions of Wi-Fi chips for IoT endpoints. And our next mission in life is actually to combine this technology with our latest innovation, which is a Wi-Fi based radar technology for sensing application. And I'm going to talk more about it momentarily. Our Wi-Fi chips fit very well for various commercial applications, may it be in enterprise, industrial, factories, smart cities, etc. Our technology can enable infrastructure such as IoT gateways and networking applications, as well as IoT sensors and IoT endpoints, cameras, image processing, and other type of devices. Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E are actually revolutionizing the Wi-Fi network connectivity space, specifically for IoT. It brought into market additional capabilities and features into the Wi-Fi space that allow for very good performance in very dense networks, which typically characterize IoT deployments at a very controllable low latency as well, which is of course very important in some industrial applications. 2 years ago, we came up with a vision to converge connectivity technology with sensing capabilities. We saw the proliferation of IoT endpoints and cloud connected devices. And we felt that actually enabling those devices with sensing capabilities based on radar technology would help to enrich applications and services that our partners and customers are launching and deploying. So in fact, we developed a Wi-Fi Doppler imaging on top of our Wi-Fi solution. It's a radar. It is based on Wi-Fi waveforms and on Wi-Fi packets. So it's 100% standard. And it helps analyze the human and the environment around the devices, counting people, sensing their presence, their vitals, and such. With this excited technologies, we're looking forward to partner with you. So any integrators and solution providers that are looking to add Wi-Fi 6 and 6E to their IoT applications and devices, or even software and AI experts seeking to help us and augment our radar signal processing technology with AI layer to enable various applications with insightful analytics and contextual information on the environment around the devices. With that, I thank you again, and I hope to meet you all during the Connector event. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And our last, but definitely not least innovative company, TIPA Corp, presented by Annalisa Nisola, Senior Sales Director. TIPA operates in one of the more trending sectors, providing biodegradable packaging solutions. They are doing their part for a fight to say goodbye to plastics.
Annalisa Nisola, Senior Sales Director, TIPA Corp. Think of packaging. We all love packaging, right? Packaging preserves the food we love and protects the goods we buy. But from the moment the function is no longer needed, packaging becomes a problem, and a huge one that we are struggling to solve. But look at nature. Nature has found the perfect solution. Think of an orange peel, for instance. It protects the content, and when discarded, it transforms into precious nourishment for the soil. At TIPA, we are inspired by nature, and we want to create a packaging that behaves exactly like an orange peel. And how do we do this? We create a packaging that looks and feels like conventional plastic, yet it is fully compostable. We designed TIPA packaging keeping in mind the same properties and functionalities that consumers and manufacturers are accustomed to, such as transparency, durability, and barrier. Yet we wanted TIPA packaging to be able to disintegrate and fully biodegrade into compost, useful to nourish the soil and segregate CO2, helping reduce the harmful effects of global warming. TIPA has developed market-proven solutions for a variety of products, from fresh produce to cereals, granola and snack bars, from powders and supplements to coffee, to ready meals, meat and cheese. And solutions are not limited to food. Thanks to the high transparency and durability of our solutions, we are highly appreciated by the fashion industry, who uses our packaging to protect garments, accessories, and apparel. Compostable packaging is as effective as conventional plastic and can even outperform it for shelf life of fresh produce. This is being revealed by 2 peer-reviewed studies recently conducted on bell peppers and cucumbers, whose shelf life was increased to respectively 21 days for bell peppers and 15 days for cucumbers, which is considerably higher than with conventional plastic. Moreover, by switching to compostable packaging, people are encouraged to separate their food waste. They don't have to get their hands dirty separating old food from its plastic packaging, as they can simply dispose of the packaging alongside with the food, leaving no waste behind. Today, a number of retailers and brands are using TIPA packaging to protect their products and meet their sustainability goals. You can read the full success stories on our website at www.tipa-corp.com. TIPA, the future of plastic packaging.
Well, there you have it. Thank you for the inspiring and innovative technologies you are all working on. Truly amazing. Just as a reminder, you can log on to the BetaMatch platform and request a meeting with any of the companies you saw today or ones that are participating in this event. Now, let's turn our focus to academia, which are at the forefront of cutting-edge and breakthrough technology, looking to uncover research at the earliest stages of the product lifecycle. For our first academic institution, we have Magnus Granström, Director SAFER at Chalmers University.
Hello, my name is Magnus Granström. I will give you some updates and information about some platforms that we do use here from a national perspective in Sweden. I'm located at Chalmers University of Technology in Gothenburg, but I will focus here today on two of these, being, let me just see here. So I will discuss the SAFER platform, and I will discuss the Drive Sweden platform. Both of them are used very much in order to prepare collaborative research proposals and running different kinds of projects. And we really want to focus on safe and sustainable mobility. So let me start with describing the SAFER platform for you. So we have a vision, and the vision is that everyone should be able to travel safely in the road transport system. And how do we do this, and what kinds of questions do we want to, or do we need to look into together in order to do that? So that is really the basis of this. And we are together, and we are today 44 partners to do that. So the focus for this platform is really to look into, okay, what are the questions that none of us can really solve on our own? We have to do this jointly, we have to collaborate, we have to identify the suitable consortia, the suitable types of funding and so on, in order to reach the vision that we have set up. And on the screen here, you see an overview of the different partners that we do have. So it's a combination of industrial partners, academic partners, partners representing the society in different ways. So quite a long list of partners, as you see. So that means that we have input from different perspectives, and we also, of course, then have different kinds of competences in this center. So how do we do that then in reality? How do we make sure that we can find the questions that we want to evaluate further, to research into, and to build knowledge? Well, you always have to divide things somehow. So what we have done here is to choose 4 main topics and main areas where we are working. And those are the ones that you see here on the screen. So for these 4 areas, we collect different people from the partners, join up together at least 5 times a year to discuss the roadmaps, the ongoing projects, results from projects, new ideas, and so on, where we can come together to do pre-competitive research. And also, as you see here on the screen, some or all of them are actually coming from different partners within the platform, and several of them come from the industrial companies. So it's always very, very important to remind ourselves that we do focus on the pre-competitive research. That is where we have our task. We build the knowledge, we have PhD students, we have research projects, and so on. And these 4 people are then the ones coordinating that work. But of course, when you think about traffic safety, smart mobility, and so on, there are a lot of questions that go across between these areas as well. So we have to handle them, and we see that there's an increased amount of these cross-cutting topics. So that is also something that we are always dealing with by meeting in a larger team and discussing and seeing, okay, where can we do this? Who wants to lead the projects? Where can we have PhD students, industrial PhD students, and so on? And not least, where do we actually find the suitable funding for this? And of course, with the basis in many ways for this work is the project portfolio that we have at the moment. And you see here just a snapshot. Where are we at the moment? What kinds? How are the different projects distributed between these 4 areas? And if you look closely, you will also see a 5th area that says competence projects, and those are the ones that are much more cross-cutting. We have this collection of projects. The funding primarily comes from the national sources. Like Vinnova, of course, which is one of the most important ones for us. But we also have about 25% of our funding from the European research programs and framework programs. So that is also a very important part for us to be active in, both in terms of what is coming up, but also making sure that we apply for funding wherever it's suitable. We also have bilateral projects For instance, today between Sweden and China and Sweden and India, where there are agreements set up where we are focusing in this area. So this is one example. Another example is the platform that's called Drive Sweden. And as you see here, it's an innovation program. It means that there is funding available within the program. And here again, the task is really to make sure that we have a strong position when it comes to the future mobility systems. And what's important here, just as for SAFER, is that we deal both with people and with goods. We have to make sure that the whole system works in a good and proper way. So again, a large number of partners. This is, well, I'm not sure exactly when it was updated, so there might be some new ones, but somewhere around 160 partners are involved in the Drive Sweden platform. And many of them, or it's a combination of Swedish partners, but also international partners of different kinds, active in the smart mobility area. So again, you have to divide the work somehow. This is the way we've set it up within the Drive Sweden platform. So these are the 5 topic areas, 5 thematic areas as we call them, where again, we meet, we discuss ideas, bring people together in order to find and formulate project proposals that can then be submitted to either within Drive Sweden or to other sources wherever it's suitable. So again, creating a strong research project portfolio. And cross-cutting, and we've drawn the picture in this way just to make sure that we don't have separate areas as such, but that they are also very, very closely connected together. And of course, if we want to have a safe, sustainable mobility system, that has to be done very much in collaboration between the different disciplines and different researchers, different companies, and so on. Then, coming in towards what the focus is for this meeting, we have some areas that we see would be very interesting to dig a bit further into, and you've also heard several presentations during the morning describing the needs and so on. So here are some that we have listed from these 2 platforms, that perspective. Several of them dealing with the AI systems. Of course, we want to make sure that we can, as quickly and precisely as possible, identify what is going on around either a vehicle or a person, but also looking into what happens inside a vehicle. This is a classic area that's been ongoing for a very long time, to understand what happens. Is a driver fit to drive, and so on, if we look at that specific case. How can we make sure that we can use the AI-based tools in the best possible way in order to improve this? Also, combinations of different kinds of data, both in terms of finding risks, but also, as we have towards the bottom here, the public transport, logistics, and traffic efficiency. We have data from different sources. It has to be put together in a good way. How can we make sure that we can do this? And also maintaining, of course, anonymity and all those kinds of aspects. So how can we improve what we are already doing in the best possible way? Again, also, the cybersecurity, I've written it rather generic here, as you see. Of course, you can dig into this much deeper and sort of define specific questions, but it is one of these overall topics that comes up in many projects today, that, okay, we have to make sure that they are safe, but also secure from a technical perspective. So those were some areas. My time is coming up, but I would like to thank you, and also say that if you want to discuss this further, please use the online platform, or contact me via my email address that you can see here on the screen. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. And now from Israel, we have Professor Isaac Ben Israel from Tel Aviv University.
Hello, everyone. I'm Isaac Ben Israel. I'm the head of the Blavatnik Interdisciplinary Cyber Research Center and I would like to present what we are doing here in Israel about artificial intelligence. But first, let me say a few words about the center that I have. It was created some 7 years ago. We had published something like more than 150 papers in peer-reviewed journals, and we have almost 300 people, researchers at this center. It's one of the biggest, probably not only in Israel, but one of the biggest in the world. It is about cybersecurity. What is unique perhaps to this Cyber Research Center of Tel Aviv University is that it is really interdisciplinary. I mean, we believe that although the solutions to cyber problems are usually technological, the problems are never purely technological. I mean, you have to take into account psychology of individuals and mass behavior, legal problems, conflict between different sets of values, and therefore we take advantage that Tel Aviv University is a multidisciplinary university, and 1/3 of our researchers come from business school, school of law, social sciences, etc. I'll talk a little bit towards the end about the main events that we do. One of them is Cyber Week, but what I would like to talk about now is our AI activity, artificial intelligence activity. Now, it all started, I would say, in what nowadays we call the first revolution that we began in 2010, 2011, 10 years ago. At that time, I had the honor to lead a task force that submitted to the government of Israel a plan of how to position Israel among the 5 top countries in the world in cyber technologies capabilities. 2010, it looked very ambitious. No one thought that a small country like Israel with less than 10 million people can do it. But if I jump to 2020, 21, you can see some of the numbers. Export of Israeli products in cybersecurity technology is something like 10% of the global market. What is more impressive, I think, is that if you look at the business sector investment in cybersecurity, and ask yourself, where all these investments, if I sum them globally, where are those investments go to? In 2018, 18% of the overall investment went into Israel. 2019, it rose to 26%, 2020, 31%, first half of 21, 45%. So we get more dollars invested by business sector in cybersecurity, more or less the same sum as the whole rest of the world. We get more dollars than even the US. And what is even perhaps more impressive is that it is not only small businesses and startups, which we are known for, etc., but even slowly some unicorns came out of it. And if you look on the unicorns globally, how many unicorns are there globally? You find that 33 of them in 2020, 33%, 1/3 of them in 2020 were Israeli unicorns, 1/3 of the global unicorns. That led the Prime Minister, the outgoing Prime Minister, the Prime Minister Netanyahu, the previous one, led to call me again and ask me to do something similar to what I've done in 2011. And again, more or less the same vision, but this time he asked me to do it in artificial intelligence. I was appointed at July 18, together with my colleague, Professor Evyatar Matania. And here you can see the report that we already submitted to the government. The vision was more or less the same, to place Israel, the objective was to place Israel among the top 5 countries in the world, but not in, within 5 years, but not in cybersecurity, this time in artificial intelligence, in order to empower Israel resilience as a techno-scientific power in many aspects, including national economy, social security, and securing the future of Israel as a safe, open, democratic, and knowledge-based society. Now, unfortunately, when we finished the report, Israel entered into 2 years, almost 3 years of elections and re-elections and another elections, 4 rounds of elections, and therefore the report was not yet fully presented and adopted by the government, unlike the report I submitted about cyber 10 years ago. But because Israel is very small, many sub-communities, I would say, which were part of the project. I mean, we had in this, the plan was prepared by some 300 experts. Because Israel is small, in certain areas, people are not waiting for the government to decide about the national plan, and we already started. And you can see here some measures. For example, this is a global AI index published a few months ago, and in this already in this global index, if you look at the top countries, it's the US, China, and then Britain, Canada, and Israel. And if you look here at the mark at this place, you can see that the difference between United Kingdom and Israel is 2 points out of 100, and I think we can still go up in this list. Or another research center that published another thing about here about the power of total, let's say, they have a measure of total power in AI, and many indexes like this put usually the US and China as superpowers, and then in the second smaller powers, maybe in the AI, usually the countries like here, Canada, UK, Israel, and Japan in this case, very similar to the other things that I showed you. It's not only an estimate, you can measure a few things you can measure. For example, how much money is invested in AI globally and where does it go to? Again, you can see here how much money is invested in the US. The second one is China. The third one is United Kingdom, Britain, and then Israel. And of course, this is in absolute numbers. If you do it per capita, then we are number 1, which shows that we already going into the right direction. This is a view of an estimate of the growth of AI market in the coming years. It's already now 2020-21. It's already something between 2 to 3 trillion US dollar, and it's going to raise by between $500 billion to $1 trillion annually. And therefore, if we will be, this is our goal, if we will catch 5% of the growth, it means some dozens of billion US dollars, which in Israeli economy may play a very significant role. This we did with, as I already said, with some 300 experts. looking not only on technology, but also on implementation, some use cases, and of course, trying to solve all the cross-sectorial problems that are needed. And here you have some more details. When we look at technology, it's not only, when we say AI, it's not only about machine learning, data science, etc. It's also about the computing power, which enables it. And when I say computer power, it can start with supercomputers and end with quantum computers, IoT, sensors, etc. And of course, some national public efforts, projects, I would say, that will revolutionize transportation, public health, super and our agriculture technology, what we can call agritech. This can all be boosted by AI, by artificial intelligence, and this is one very crucial element of the plan we submitted to the government. We already started every year to conduct AI week, like the Cyber Week that we are doing now for 11 years. And the next one is going to happen in 3 months or so, in February 2022. It's a full week in which people are coming to discuss all aspects of artificial intelligence. And of course, you are invited. Last year, we had something like 4,000 attendees from more than 80 countries. And we expect now that the corona, the COVID-19 is phasing out, I would say, we expect more people this time at February 2022. You can call us and we will be glad to host you here. And the last thing that I would mention is that we will continue, and we are already started to plan also the Cyber Week, which is much bigger event, every year something close to 10,000 people, and the next one will be in June 2022, as you can see here. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Professor Ben Israel. For our last speaker of the day, I welcome Professor Andrei Gutov, professor at Linköping University.
Hello, everybody. Shalom. My name is Andrei Gurtov. I'm a professor at Linköping University, Department of Computer and Information Science. Linköping is a city about 2 hours away by car from Stockholm. It's like aviation capital of Sweden because we have Saab headquarters located here. Previously, I have been collaborating with Israel through so-called EU Cost Action on ambient assisted living, and had the pleasure to visit Israel in June 2005 to work with Jerusalem College of Technology. And for example, it resulted in this publication about IoT cybersecurity. As well as a part of this visit, I attended Israel Networking Day at IBM in Haifa. Also, we have been collaborating with some professors in Hebrew University, like Michael Shapira, through joint research with International Computer Science Institute at Berkeley, for example, on resilient static routing in the internet. In this talk, I will talk about some cybersecurity challenges we have in civil aviation. For example, there has been cases when people were pretending to be flight controllers and giving fake orders to the pilots, or some people were jamming GPS at near airports, which was causing big problems for airplane handling. So it is a growing problem, and as you can see in this picture, there is multiple data communication systems involved in civil aviation. For example, ADS-B, which is responsible for airplane positioning and like showing on dispatchers' screens. Also, data communication, for example, CPDLC link, which is used to send some let's say, orders to pilots to change altitude. And all these systems were completely unprotected, so it's plain text messages, and it's quite easy to intercept them and spoof them. So it presents big challenges for cybersecurity in aviation. And it has been demonstrated that many of these systems can be hacked in practice. For example, even like collision avoidance systems between airplane and positioning and data communication. So with some cheap equipment, it's possible like to send fake orders or even like spam messages to cockpit of a flying airplane using so-called software-defined radio. So obviously it's not a good condition. So we are researching some ways to secure these communication protocols, as well as develop future secure versions. And since this event is also about artificial intelligence and machine learning, so we can also apply machine learning methods to detect possible attacks or misbehaving airplanes by comparing, for example, with ADS-B positioning messages with some pre-trained model to detect possible outliers and trigger an alarm for the pilots or the controllers. Also, it's possible to detect some fake or incorrect messages for pilot clearances, for example. Another area where we are active is a EU project called Air-Amour. The goal of this project is to try to use drones for emergency medical services around Europe. So, for example, in Gothenburg, there is a company delivering defibrillators around the city already now, and in future it will be possible even to transport people or doctors to, let's say, a crash site or similar. So in this project, I'm responsible for a task on cybersecurity, and we are analyzing possible threat scenarios, for example, communication to a flying drone or its positioning or some other cybersecurity issues, for example, related to privacy of patients and operators. In addition to that, we are participating to standardization at the Internet Engineering Task Force, international organization for developing internet standards, for example, called RFC, Request for Comments. And I'm participating to the working group on secure remote drone ID. So the idea is that each drone, when it flies, it must broadcast its secure label, sort of like a car plate label, but unspoofable, so that, for example, public observers or authorities can identify the drone. And this work is also in collaboration with Bob Moskowitz. He's from Detroit, but he is one of the authors of this host identity protocol, which is a way to securely identify computers and things on the internet, and which is actively used for securing critical infrastructure in the United States by a company called Tempered Networks. So we are applying this protocol for securing the drone communication. So in terms of future projects, we look at the secure version of civil aviation systems called LDAX, which is currently under standardization in ICAO, IATF. So we hope maybe some interested companies will join that, as well as secure communication and identification of drones, especially when they fly beyond line of sight. And in swarm formation, it's a quite difficult scientific problem. As well as we expand our research to other areas, for example, vessel identification systems. Like it's quite similar situation with aircraft systems that were plain text and easily spoofed, for example, IES system or digital selective call system. So it will be nice to look at ship cybersecurity and port infrastructure cybersecurity certification. Also, we work in Industry 4.0 cybersec. For example, there are now ideas to create so-called digital twins models of existing factories and plants, and we have some ideas how to use this host identity protocol to link between physical and virtual objects, because it's a kind of short unspoofable tag that can be used to identify objects and, for example, being scanned via smartphones or other tools. As well as we work on so-called VPLS, Virtual Private LAN services. It's an idea to securely connect different, let's say, buildings or branches in a company, so that we form like a big common local area network, and it's unhackable from the rest of the internet because it's well hidden and so-called cloaked infrastructure that it's not possible to access it directly without going through identification and HIP VPLS and VPN tunnels. So we are looking for potential partners to join future projects. For example, joint EU funding application to the Horizon program, or maybe from local Swedish industry, we can apply for Vinnova project, but in this case, there should be significant funding also coming from the industrial partner. And I hope to meet you in face-to-face meetings over Zoom, and I booked a few, and please book a meeting with me if my topic sounds interesting to you. My homepage is gurtov.com, so you can find my list of publications and the prior projects and current students over there. Let's hope we can collaborate on cybersecurity and artificial intelligence challenges in the future. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you, Professor Gurtov. And with that, we have concluded our morning session. Thank you. And on behalf of Startup Nation Central and all the other organizers of this event, I would like to say thank you to all the presenters. It's inspiring to hear what the future holds in regards to innovation, technology, and more importantly, the collaboration between our two countries. I would also like to take this opportunity to say thank you to my team here at Startup Nation Central, everyone who worked behind the scenes to make this happen. Thank you very much. So best of luck to everyone in the B2B meetings this afternoon and tomorrow. I will turn it over now to Hampus, who will update us on further information on this afternoon and tomorrow's agenda. To you, Hampus.
Thank you, Yoav. And also from our side, of course, thank you very much to all the speakers, presenters, really great. And on behalf of Vinnova and the Swedish Embassy, also thank you guys at Startup Nation Central for the great collaboration and for running the show today. It's been great. So we will now break for lunch, and the 101 session starts at 1 p.m. Swedish time, 2 p.m. Israel time. But your meetings, you find your individual meeting schedules in your profile, logging in. And remember, there is still time to book additional meetings. We have a lot of meetings booked, but if you want to meet someone that you haven't reached out to, do that. You can do that today and tomorrow. So today and tomorrow, the meetings will take place. And maybe it's a good idea, if you haven't done so, to log in now and see that everything works with the meetings. And yeah, with those words, let's have lunch. And I wish you great meetings today and tomorrow. And we really look forward to seeing what will happen after these 2 days. Thank you very much and enjoy the afternoon and tomorrow. Thanks. Bye-bye.